Hello everyone and happy holidays. I'm Lyndall Stout. This time of year on SUNUP, we like to take a look back at some of our favorite stories from the year. And our first one brings us here to OSU's Foundation Seed. I'd like to welcome the team, Dave Deacon and Austin Moore. Dave, there's a lot more that goes into Foundation Seed than people might think.
Well, actually, yeah, we do a lot of stories on wheat research here at Oklahoma State University, and then also wheat harvest, but we've never really taken a look at how it goes from research to the ag producers across Oklahoma.
Well, basically, we're the beginning of the state seed crop. After the breeder releases a new variety, we take a small amount of seed and increase that on clean ground and get it to where we can have a large as possible amount of seed to release to seedsmen and farmers across the state.
They amplify the research. I mean, here we are running a research program, and they take that research and turn it into a commercial product. That's a very important transition to have right here in the university.
It's a method that takes thousands of Oklahoma acres to produce seed for millions of acres across the southern Great Plains. Before the combine comes off the trailer in this field near Perkins, these young men are taking the next step in quality control.
Today we are roguing, which is when you walk through a wheat field and you make sure that there's not any talls or off colors. And any different variety that you see in there, you want to pull that too. It's a pretty clean field, so.
This combine looks like any other, but it's been thoroughly brushed, cleaned, vacuumed, and reassembled to guarantee that the only seed that comes out of it is from this field. Foundation Seed does get help from experienced growers from all corners of the state.
Most of them's been doing it for a long time, and they're seedsmen for themselves as well. And they really go the extra mile for us.
I had 60 acres of billings that I produced this last year for Jeff as Foundation Seed. I don't know how much he's going to need. He may need most of it, but he always has to plant more than, we hope we get more than what he needs every year. And this year he was pretty lucky. He had good crop about everywhere he had it planted.
You know, the thing I really love about that story is we got to see something that we normally don't. And, we travel down I-40 all the time, but we're always flying by. And after the tornado came through in May and hit El Reno, I got the opportunity to be beside that road, picking up debris with some farmers and some volunteers. It was really a moving experience.
On the May 20th tornado was about half a mile away from my house.
Connor McReynolds is from Moore, Oklahoma, the site of a devastating EF5 tornado in mid-May. But today, Connor is 30 miles northwest of his home, cleaning up damage from the May 31st tornado that ripped through Canadian County.
That evening, it was the biggest wall cloud I've ever seen in my life. It seemed to encompass a third of the whole county.
The tornado was the broadest recorded in North America at over 2.6 miles wide. Wind speeds reached 296 miles per hour, devastating homes, businesses, and agricultural land, including Jerry Lingo's canola crop.
It was about shoulder high before the tornado came through and basically just laid it straight on the ground and knocked a lot of the seeds out on the ground, shattered a lot of the pods, and just pretty well made it, with all the trash that's in it, made it pretty well unharvestable.
Agriculture damage was in a path, mainly in a path of that storm and where the wind carried debris. If you were in that 2.6 mile swath, it's devastating, just like the field we're standing in of canola that just got blew away. The first thing that's going to happen when you come in with the combine is you're going to hear a horrible rattle in that combine cylinder. And you hope you can get it shut down to limit the damage. It only takes that one piece of debris to get in a piece of operating harvesting equipment, and you've got more money tied up in repairs than the crop will ever be worth.
That is why volunteers like Connor McReynolds make such a difference.
Makes me feel like I'm helping people who just had their houses gone. This is the only way they can make the money to rebuild their homes.
And now a word from Mike Woods, our interim vice president, dean, and director.
On behalf of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, I want to wish everyone the very happiest holiday season. We're very blessed to have a great organization here with Oklahoma State University to work for. I am thankful for the great employees, the great staff, and the great students that we have as a part of this organization. I want to wish each and every one of you the very best holiday possible. Enjoy your family. Travel safely if you're going to be on the road. We're looking forward to having everyone back in 2014 for another successful year. Thanks to each and every one of you for watching SUNUP. Thanks to you for the support that you provide the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, and happy holidays.
One of the great mysteries for children all over the world, and for those of us that are children at heart, has been how do Santa's reindeer actually get this huge job done every Christmas Eve? How do they make it all the way around the world delivering toys to all the good little boys and girls? Well, we have looked up some facts about reindeer that have helped me better understand how this can happen. First of all, we know that they're ruminants. And that means they're just like cattle in the fact that they have 4 compartments to their stomach. As in the case of cattle, they can digest and utilize forages. Now, the fact that they can consume forages is important because we know that ruminants digest forages more slowly than they would digest something like corn or milo. And that's a key thing here in this particular situation, because we know Santa Claus is going to make sure that those reindeer get lots of hay the night before he takes them out on this long trip. Since forage digests more slowly, that's kind of like, you know what your mom says when she wants you to eat oatmeal for breakfast. She wants something that'll stick to your ribs. Well, it's that same concept as far as the reindeer having a lot of forages that will digest slowly and give them the energy they need to fly all the way around the world. Remember that reindeer are different than the kind of deer that we have here in Oklahoma. They have very, very long, large antlers. In fact, the adult male reindeer will have an antler that's about 4 feet in length. Certainly, each reindeer has 2 antlers, and so that means that each one of Santa's 8 reindeer will have 8 feet of antler span. There's 8 of Santa's reindeer times the 8 feet for each one of those reindeer. That means that on any Christmas Eve, there will be 64 feet of antler span that can help get that sleigh airborne and flying around the world. Now compare that 64 with a typical Cessna. It will have a wingspan of only 36 feet. So Santa Claus is working with 64 feet of antler span, and he's got twice as much, almost, span as does that small airplane. So I think there's a chance that that would certainly work. Well, we thought all of this information about reindeer would help us get a better understanding that Santa Claus is going to make that trip again this year, and if we're good, we're going to have an opportunity to see the results of all of this effort that he and his reindeer go into to deliver the presents to good little boys and girls.
One of the things about SUNUP that I think all of us enjoy is the ability to get behind the scenes and see what an operation is really like start to finish. And J&M Mushrooms over in Miami gave us that opportunity this year.
Yeah, that was a great shoot. It was one of those, though, that had a lot of technical challenges to it. It was a very unique environment, and you really had some real hard times getting the interview side of that.
Well, yeah, we not only had the hairnets, we also had the humidity, the heat inside the building, and then the lack of humidity, and then the colder temperatures. Because to make a mushroom, it goes through a lot of environments, but it worked out really well. Yeah. It was a great shoot. It really did.
And I'm so glad we got to see that. It's one of the shoots I'd wanted to do for a long time, and we appreciate the Juergensmeyer family giving us that opportunity. Chances are you've bought and eaten J&M mushrooms before. They're an Oklahoma staple. So today we're taking you through their facility outside Miami, Oklahoma in Ottawa County.
I never dreamt that it would get this big. And without the boys' help, I would not have done that. I wouldn't have expanded this much.
Virgil Juergensmeyer is one of the founders of JM Farms. He still comes to work, but now his sons handle the day-to-day business. But he took a moment to speak with us about what made his company so successful.
It's really more than one person can say grace over. With 500 employees around and 22 management team people, just to keep everything in the right step takes a lot of effort. Miami, Oklahoma has been a good community for us, and they've been very cooperative with us. They put up with us sometimes as we were learning to compost in all different kinds of weather conditions.
And good mushrooms start with good compost. So that's where we start the tour. My guide, Curtis Juergensmeyer, CEO of JM Mushrooms.
This is what we call our compost yard. It's where we start making the soil that the mushrooms will grow in. It's a 22 to 23 day process out here. We use wheat straw, chicken litter, cottonseed meal, gypsum, urea, blended together to make our compost.
So that's sort of the recipe that you've come up with that creates the ideal soil for the mushrooms to grow in?
Right. Mushrooms have, they're a fungus. They have no digestive system of their own, so they have to, their food source is already broken down basically for them, and that's what we're doing is we're making a very select food source that the mushroom can feed off of.
Okay, and then your crews come out and load this up and take it inside?
Yes, we'll do. Every day we fill a crop every day. We'll bring it up here and use our fill line over here and fill it into one of these wooden trays and take it in to be pasteurized and go through our phase 2 process.
Okay, let's go take a look at phase 2.
Okay.
So Curtis, this is phase 2. Tell us what goes on here.
This is our phase 2 room. This is our pasteurization room. After we fill the trays outside and bring them in here, they'll come in here and they'll be in here for 8 days. On about the 3rd day, we heat the trays up to the compost in the trays up to 150 degrees for about 2 hours. And what that does is it kills anything, any molds, any weeds, anything that's from outside that you don't want growing in with the mushroom. So that when we plant the mushrooms, all we're going to have growing in our compost is the mushroom culture itself. So it takes 8 days. On the 3rd day is when we heat it up, and then we spend the rest of that time kind of slowly cooling the trays back down to get them to about 80 to 90 degrees before we take them out and spawn them. This is our spawn line. What's happening right now is that we're dumping the compost that's been pasteurized out, and we're adding spawn and some supplement, which is like a fertilizer to it. We're adding some water, mixing that material all back up, and putting it back into the trays. What the spawn is a mushroom culture that's grown on a food source. It can be a grain, rye grain, a millet grain, and that's mixed in with the compost. The reason you use the culture is so that you get the exact same mushrooms every day. If you went back to the spore, you would get different mushrooms genetically. This is genetically, the mushrooms are all identical. After we spawn the trays off the line out there, we bring them into a room like this where we control the temperature and the humidity, and it stays in here for 15 days. And during that time, the spawn grows off of the grain onto the compost, which is its food source, and the root system develops, the mycelium grows all through the compost and starts absorbing nutrition. And you can see the root structure there, the mycelium, the white cobwebby material. And if you even smell it at this time, it actually has a mushroom smell at this point in time.
So Curtis, this is the next step?
Yes, this is what's called a setback room. This is where we put the trays after they finish the spawn room. We bring them out, we run them down a line again, and we add about a 2-inch layer of peat moss and limestone to the top surface of each tray.
Each year we try to do something just a little bit special for the holidays. This year we enlisted Oklahoma State University President Burns Hargis.
"'Tis the night before Christmas, and all through the land, farmers are toiling with well-worn tools in hand. The cattle are fed, the horses well tended, the show lambs are pampered as if they were kindred. The children are sleeping beside the show box. The ribbons they dream of are surely now locks. And Mama with her city job, and I with mine too, are finally home, but still with plenty to do. The bawling calves require vaccination. Blister beetles in the alfalfa need extermination. The markets must be checked so the wheat can be sold. And parts must be ordered because this deer's getting old. Still the clock moves forward and this all must wait. St. Nicholas and my children have a firm date. The kids long for toys, electronics, and candy. My wife deserves jewelry or a beach that's quite sandy. But for me, all I need is rain, except when I don't. Grain prices that peak and gas prices that won't. I need happy calves with strong immunity and for powerful storms to miss our community. But in the end, no, I have no complaints. I'm surrounded by those who lift my constraints. A veterinarian who even at night takes my call. My extension educator beside me with answers for the long haul. My banker is patient, my insurance agent wise. Not sure what I'd do without those guys. But I know I'd be here on this piece of land, fighting for everything my heart finds so grand. My wife, my kids, my dirt, and this sky, that is quite enough for this guy. So in this season of joy and wonder and light, let me just say, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
We are all so fortunate to meet some genuinely interesting people each and every year.
Yeah, nobody really stands out quite as much as the 4-H and FFA kids we meet. A lot like the ones that we met at the Hughes County Feed-Out program.
It was a great opportunity for the youth to see the entire marketing process of the livestock that they were raising.
This program puts our 4-H and FFA members in the feedlot business with one animal.
The calf has to be born in Hughes County to a member of the Hughes County Cattlemen's Association.
We weigh these steers in September. They feed them for 160 days. They're taken to slaughter after our county livestock show.
These cattle and their keepers are evaluated on several criteria: for their gain, for their placement in the county show, for their carcass grade, and for the records they keep.
They keep all of their feed records, all of their gain records, all of their treatment records, any medications that the animal was given.
Had to keep track of like all the corn we put in there because we added corn into their feed.
Colton McCorkle was the bell ringer last year. That is the student with the best cumulative score between the 4 categories. He talked to us about his experience raising and showing cattle.
It's all friendly out in the barn before there, but whenever you go out and get in there and start going, it's all out war. I mean, you got kids from, they all know you, and you know them, and they're all friends in the barn, but whenever you get in the show ring, it's just let's see who can win.
He says the feed-out program has changed the way he looks at cattle.
Before this, I'd never really looked at any bulls or just looked at the pictures, saw, oh, that one looks kind of bad. And, oh, that one's pretty good. But then you start looking at all the numbers and figures and the EPDs and everything. It starts like turning out who's the good one and who's really the bad one.
Each spring we head out and we look for a wheat harvest story, and we always have that same challenge of how do we tell this story and make it new and different and something we haven't done before.
And actually in 2013 we went to Caddo County to the Crable family.
And I think when we got there, we expected one thing and we walked away with something entirely different. And the opportunity to tell that story was really profound, I think, for all of us. And our story for Harvest in Caddo County is the one that you, our viewers, voted as your favorite story of 2013 on our Facebook page. And here's the reason why. It's also our most viewed SUNUP story of all time. Brittany Crable is no stranger to wheat harvest and no stranger to combines. As she takes me on a couple of rounds, we talk crop quality.
I was hoping that it was like this, hoping and praying it was good, and it's been a blessing to see that it is.
And what it takes to keep this massive machine running smoothly.
Trying to keep it in the wheat and out of the dirt.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Across the field, that's also the main objective for Brittany's grandpa, Wayne Crable, who at age 82 spent a lot of years on open-air combines.
Probably still suffering from the days when no cabs on the combine. You sit in that dirt for hours and hours, but I loved it anyway.
That shared love of the land and harvesting what you've sown is already shaping Brittany's future.
Why are you doing this? I rode with my grandpa and my dad a lot when I was little, and I have memories of falling asleep in that same passenger seat or doing combine math, and slowly but surely I started to fall in love with it.
In fact, 10 years ago this week, her mom Karen snapped this picture of Brittany at age 7, side by side with her dad Jeff in the field.
I've always tried a little bit to play devil's advocate and say you can be anything you want to be. You can go anywhere you want to be. That decision's always yours to make. Just because your ancestors have farmed does not mean you have to. If you want to, we will support you. I've always tried to give her that option, that it was her choice.
A decision Brittany confirmed as Jeff, her father, was dying of cancer.
I remember in like the last month he was alive, he turned to me and looked at me and grabbed my hand and said, "Are you going to come back?" And even though I knew before then that I wanted to come back, that really solidified my choice that this is where I need to be.
On the land that would have been her father's and will now go to her, the 5th generation of Crable to harvest wheat on these very acres.
And to be able to pass that on to another generation is very satisfying.
Hard to believe Brittany is only 17 and will be a senior at Hinton High School this fall.
They put their entire lives into working to make these farms run, and to see that pay off, I think, is a great success for them to know that somebody's going to carry on what they love too.
And no doubt that someone, Brittany, is making all those who came before her pretty proud. As we leave today, we want to say thank you for watching SUNUP throughout the year. And as always, our gift to you, the very popular SUNUP Outtakes.
Happy holidays!
That'll do it for us this week. Remember, you can find us anytime at sunup.ok.
And if you'd like more information on the meat boat.
Blue, blue, blue suede shoe. Blue, blue, blue suede shoe. You do a little.
For more information about the Meat Goat Boot Camp.
Okay, you're rolling and go.
When checks in, checks right back out.
Have my notes tucked in my pocket so I can sneak them out. You know.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, notice how it's folded up to fit inside
your hand?
Oh,
Yeah.
Dave just writes on his hand.
You
I just,
just
I'm
write
fancy
on
with
there.
the paper, you know.
And then shrink it down.
This is more environmentally friendly.
Well,
so,
he's going
you know.
green.
Oh, you were a dog in your private
I was.
We're going to use the Swiss microphone instead. They work very, very similarly. Does that mean I have to yodel? I think you do.
Lady D.
What sort of terms do you... there.
For more information about the Meat Boat Goot...
Seriously, just say camp. Just say camp.
Can you just go ahead and say Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
I mean,
you just came back from Mexico,
I
so
know.
all the extra itching is making me want to go like this. It's like,
I love you.
What was that, Anderson?
Well, you hesitate. You just pause there a second, and I started to.
It's my fault.
And you know, so
It's always my fault.
when I sucked it back in, I
Yeah.
couldn't spit it back out.
Yeah.
You know, I will be patient.
Why don't you
this
just
time.
take ownership of what you did instead of blaming it on me?
It's my fault.
if you have a pine tree in Oklahoma, you try that again.
I knew they always get a
There'll be
second
several, not just second, maybe third or five.
if you saw my grades when I took Aggie Caught in
me up
college,
a couple times. I remember once you said, "Kim, say this word," and I said the word.
There
and
is
you
that.
pasted it in there. Yeah.
Well,
And if you'd like more information on the meat boat,
before we leave, you need to get a wide shot of us standing on the hill so I look about the same height, you know. This is TV magic. This is how you do it.
The closer you get, the further I fall. Is that what you had in mind?
That'd be good. All right, good information as always. 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 Gant Maurer, beef quality. Blew it. Totally blew it.
and if you'd like more information about the Meat Goat Boot Camp, be sure and check out our Facebook page and our Twitter account also. And also check out videos on YouTube.
That was good. Why'd you stop?
I don't know. What do I say after that? The teleprompter broke.
Goodbye.
Oh, see ya. Bye, Grandma.